Hello, is it audible now? I hope it is audible because I can see my sound waves on my OBS. Uh, it's been 4.5 minutes, and I didn't think that it will take so long for me to figure out again what's wrong with my mic. Yeah. So today I'm I'm streaming so that, well, I'm streaming so that today I can talk about some books and probably discuss them a bit. I would like to read a few lines and then discuss those lines. Like, I'll probably be taking a monologue. If someone is here, they can comment on it, of course. Like, there's not much, but uh, it'll be it'll be it will be a nerdy stream, and we are going to just going to we are just going to talk about some books that I recently got, and I can just share my thoughts about those books with you, and how those books, if they are helpful or not, and if they are actually the books they claim to be. Because most of the times, books often almost always try to claim, like every advertisement, that like in every advertisement, every brand claims to be the best, the best of the best, while and no one would want to market that they are the worst, or even they are okayish or good. Everyone wants to be the best one. So yeah, basically, basically, I just want to read books. Most of the time these days, I read literary books of different kinds, um, not those stories and novels or drama plays, whether they be tragedy, epics, or anything else. I prefer to read non-fiction these days, interpretations and critiques, essays, and things like that. So basically, my goal today as well will be just to see how these two books that I got today we are good enough or bad enough for me. And so you could also take some you could also take some time to digest it. You can always chat in it. And yeah, I might be boring, I might make you sleepy if someone is listening. Yeah, let's get down to it. First of all, I have this book, which is uh, which has the title Research Methodology, and it is written by S.R. Singh. So basically, I got this book because I wanted to know about different uh, aspects of research and different methodologies about research. And I just wanted to take a taste. I haven't really read such books, even in non-fiction. So this will be my first, and I'm not a very good researcher as well. So I thought that this might help me in the long run. So basically, what happens is that in this book, if I turn over to the page of contents, there is preface, which is commonly mispronounced by many people as preface, and after that there is a topic, first topic or chapter of introduction to research and its typology, and then the second topic of introduction to scientific method and research methodology. After that there's a third chapter of tools and techniques of research methodology. The fourth topic is focus on data collection and lab techniques, and the fifth topic is focus on experiment, psychological research, and research methodology. So basically, we have 5 chapters, and among these 5 chapters, I think I don't really know much about research methodology, so obviously we will have to go from the start. But it's not just about going from the top to bottom, it's about learning, for me, what introduction to research and its typology mean. And as far as I know, introduction to research seems pretty straightforward, but I don't know what typology means in this case. um, uh, just to give a disclaimer, I English is not my first language, so I'll basically I am not so proficient in speaking this language. I am a lot better at writing it, but I'll try my best to speak as good as possible, so that whatever audience that I have, that may be sleepy by now, that may be bored because of my voice. I don't know if my voice is audible enough, if it is loud enough or not. You can just tell me that in the chat as well if you want. But I I'll be happy to have some, how do I put it? I'll be happy to have some comments in the chat about what they think, what you think about this book, and what about its topics. So basically, I don't know if I'll be reading all of this book, but yeah, let's just get right into it. Um, I usually start with preface or preface, because there's a lot that the author is trying to say in preface. Especially in non-fiction books, the author is trying to put all of the summary of the book in preface usually, and the author is trying to convey the idea that he or she wants to convey throughout this book by telling the audience on what they should be prepared for when they proceed with the book. So in this preface, the author simply explains that the research process is similar to undertaking a journey. For a research journey, there are two important decisions to make. What you find, number one is what you want to find out about, or what research questions you want to find answers to, which is basically very pretty simple. And the second one is how to go about finding their answers. um, just to uh, just to give it a thought, it often seems very simple. The first point is, is quite simple most of the time, uh, that you should know what you want to find out and what questions you want answered by your research or by someone else. And this is actually half of the problem, that most of the time people don't even know what questions they should be asking. So this is very important according to this author, and according to what I know as well. So I'll agree with the author on this page, that uh, you need to find out what questions you should be asking, what questions you need to answer yourself, or you want others to answer for you, so that you can understand other things better, your research better. And the second question is obviously how to go about finding their answers, because once you have asked the questions, it is obvious that you have to find answers somehow. And I'm really I'm sorry, I just lost my train of thought for a second. And so yeah, I'll just go ahead with the the preface. And what happens is that the author then says that there are practical steps through which you must pass in your research journey in order to find answers to your research questions. So obviously, like any process, the author just kind of brands the research procedure as a journey. That's the crux of this uh, sentence, and probably this page as well. But let's see what he says more. And then we will just go. And after that, the author says that the path to finding answers to your research questions constitutes research methodology, which is also um, quite according to the common sense. What common sense says, that research questions obviously constitute research methodology. Finding the answers to the research questions should follow research methodology. At each operational step in the research process, you are required to choose from a multiplicity of methods, procedures, and models of research methodology which will help you to best achieve your objectives. At each operational step in the research process, you are required to choose from a multiplicity of methods, procedures, and models of research methodology which will help you to best achieve your objectives. So here author is uh, pretty straightforward about what the variety of research methodology exists when you want to dive into research process. uh, this is where your knowledge base of research methodology plays a crucial role, because of obviously uh, different types of research require different types of methodology as per this author. So knowing which research is compatible with which research methodology is um, a crucial matter, an important matter, and it should be clear to the researcher beforehand. Major steps in research process involve the following: formulating the research problem, which is obviously what we said, that half the problem is to know what the problem is and what the questions should be. Formulating the research problem. After that, extensive literature review to try to find answers to those questions. Developing the objectives Then we go down to the development of the objectives of the research we have to undertake. After that, preparing the research design, including sample design, so that we can proceed with the uh, process of research. Collecting the data, which will for which we will have to do more extensive literature review, which we have already mentioned, and probably do some more, uh, so that we have some tangible data according to which we can formulate our argument or research. And after that we have the analysis of data, and after that we have generalization and interpretation of that data. After that we have the preparation of the report or presentation of results, uh, which will be in the form of formal write-ups of conclusions reached during the research that was conducted. So these are pretty basic steps of research process, the major ones, as the author says. And after that we move on, and the author says research methodology is a way to systematically solve the research problem. It may be understood as a science of studying how research is done scientifically. In it, we study the various steps that are generally adopted by a researcher in studying his research problem along with the logic behind them. It is necessary for the researcher to know not only the research methods, techniques, but also the methodology. Researchers not only need to know how to develop certain indices or tests, how to calculate the mean, the mode, the median or the standard deviation or chi-square, how to apply a particular research techniques, but they also need to know which of these methods or techniques are relevant and which are not, and what would they mean and indicate and why. So basically in this long sentence, you might have zoned out, you might be confused what it says. um, it's basically the author is trying to say that the research methods and the methodology are two different kind of things, and both of them are necessary, and both of them are to be agreed upon by the researcher or researchers, so that they can perform the research. And they need to know uh, these two things, because each and every research topic and research subject is different and has a different kind of data and different kind of generalization and conclusions, because most most of today's research includes numbers. Numeric data is very important in today's world, because numeric data, however it may seem uh, excessive, or even at some times it may seem like insufficient, either ways the numeric data is often the most critical part of a research, because it shows uh, trends and graphs, and it may help in uh, reaching certain data using different formulas or different tables and different methods of performing functions on the data. And after performing functions on the data, they that data into the turns into evidence that helps us reach the conclusion about our research, because it does not matter what our opinion or our knowledge is before our research starts. Oftentimes, researchers are said to have uh, agendas of research that are to refute a question, or to refute um, a problem, or to refute a logic that may be causing confusion in the real world. And it so happens that during the research they end up proving themselves wrong. And this is not their loss, this is their win, that through the data and proper research they are able to come to the conclusion that their initial judgment of a certain topic or a certain subject, no matter what it is, was wrong. And they wholeheartedly not only accept it but preach it, because numbers are often numbers are often a very concrete kind of data that can that cannot be refuted, that cannot be rejected, because numbers are universal. You can't say that 2 is lesser than 1, because there is no way that 2 can be lesser than 1. So uh, this is just an example. This example could be wrong. This is just my own perspective of things, but uh, what I think about this and what my knowledge says is that we often need the mathematical data to enhance our research and to reach a conclusion, a solid conclusion that is that cannot be questioned. Because if you stay on logic and philosophies and reasonings of words, they are not perceived as some tangible evidence or tangible proof. And oftentimes what your logic and judgment is, turns out to be your opinion instead of what the fact is. So basically this is one of the reasons why mathematical data is preferred by um, all types of researchers if they can find such data. So continuing with our author, the author says that researchers also need to understand the assumptions underlying various techniques, and they need to know the criteria by which they can decide that certain techniques and procedures will be applicable to certain problems and others will not. Will be applicable to certain problems and others will not. And it's just basically the explanation of what the author said before about choosing the right research method and methodology for their research topic and research purpose. All this means that is all that this means that it is necessary for the researcher to design his methodology for his problem, as the same may differ from problem to problem. For example, an architect who designs a building has to consciously evaluate the basis of his decisions. That is, he has to evaluate why and on what basis he selects particular size, number, and location of doors, windows, ventilators, uses particular materials and not others, and the like. Similarly, in research, the scientist has to expose the research. Similarly, in research, the scientist has to expose the research decisions to evaluation before they are implemented. He has to specify very clearly and precisely what decisions he selects and why he selects them so that they can be evaluated by others as well. Understanding the research methodology Understanding the research methodology, tools, and techniques is always helpful in providing researchers and other knowledge seekers with clear concepts of the different techniques of modern research. This book helps in conducting effective academic research as it covers all facets of research process, from finding and defining a suitable topic, performing literature surveys, and conducting research to analyzing and disseminating the results. This book, titled Research Methodology, provides readers with an introduction to research and its typology. It also gives a brief introduction to scientific method and research methodology with focus on paradigm, hypothesis, case study, and research design. The multiple tools and techniques of research methodology are described with highlights on questionnaire, opinion pool, and sampling. Focus also lies on data collection, laboratory techniques, and experiment. Special attention has been given to psychological research and research methodology. This publication, titled Research Methodology, is completely user friendly as it also gives readers appendix, glossary, bibliography, and index. So, basically, that's what this book is trying to convey. That's the crux, that's the summary of what this book is trying to convey in these. Let me check how many pages there are of text. If we exclude the appendix, glossary, indexes, etc., we have 286 pages, starting from chapter 1 to chapter 5's last page. We have 286 pages, and despite being a very despite being a very talkative person, I think I have spent all my stamina in reading and explaining the preface of this book, and my throat is getting a bit dry and it's stingy, so I will just go and probably have a glass of water, and I'll be back, and let's see if I can continue. If I can't continue, then we'll just end the stream here, because it's getting late and I don't want my viewers to stay up unless they are from another time zone, of course. So, yeah, I'll be right back. Hi. So yeah, sorry that I took so much time. I probably didn't read as much and went to drink water for such a long time. I had to take a break. I feel exhausted. I feel like I don't have the stamina to speak anymore. But I don't know. I don't know about anything else. I don't know about doing anything else. I'm not that good of a person to just stop at often things. So yeah, I was just checking. I was just checking some my phone and some notifications, mostly Twitter notifications, which is not too bad, I guess. And especially, I've been struggling with Twitter, and I was struggling with almost all platforms, whether it was YouTube or Facebook or any other platform. I haven't had the time to touch Tumblr or Reddit or Quora. No matter how bad the scene, there still exists some purpose and some pros of those platforms. And there are cons of other platforms as well. Like, just take a look at Twitter. That just because just because some reply of mine on some tweet is getting like what 5 likes, I keep having my phone buzzed because of other notifications of Twitter, which are really lame. I usually don't want such notifications. I don't want such. Yeah. Basically, it's 10 10 o'clock at night here. It's 9th September 2022, and I wanted to sleep, but I had gotten these books. I didn't even tell about the other book. The other book is it is a book which is an interpretation of a literary work. It is it is a, I'll read the title. It is a modern critical interpretation by Harold Bloom. I think I have heard that name before. Pretty sure this person is a very famous critic, and this modern critical interpretation is of Daniel Defoe's Robinson Crusoe. And I was like in third grade, probably, when I read Robinson Crusoe, and it wasn't even the whole book or the whole story. It was just like what, maybe 2 pages. They were the important 2 pages. Is the ones where he gets trapped on the island and begins to work hard, begins to chop down wood and make shelter for him and stuff like that. That's what I remember from my memory, but I haven't had the time nor the chance to read this masterpiece. Many people, especially in this book, even in the introduction, they say that people like Charles Dickens and Jean Jacques Rousseau, and I hope that it's the right pronunciation. I don't think it is. French pronunciations are really hard for me to get. And then Karl Marx, even Virginia Woolf, and Ian Watt, people like Leopold Damrosch Jr. These people have had their interpretations of Daniel Defoe's Robinson Crusoe. And it's no surprise because Robinson Crusoe is just as much of a masterpiece as The Tale of Two Cities or The Oliver Twist or Karl Marx. I think Manifesto, even though that's a very bad comparison, um, considering it's a political manifesto and um, not a fictional book like Robinson Crusoe. But this name itself, Robinson Crusoe, has had enough of an impact on me that whenever I hear it or read it, it's it's remarkable. It's so attractive. It it has a charm of its own for me. It almost has a charm of its own for me, just as much as people and me myself have uh, the influence of the names like Macbeth or Oedipus and Iliad, and you know uh, these things have uh, these names have had a similar impact, have had similar attraction for me, like um, Hamlet and even Romeo and Juliet, if I say so. If if someone doesn't get angry, because people often criticize Romeo and Juliet a lot, and that's about it. Like it's it has been fascinating for me that a person who's stranded, probably it is just a part of the story. Maybe it is the climactic part of the story. I don't even know because I haven't had the chance, as I said, to read the whole of this book. But I want to. I want to. I'm sorry. I want to read this book, Robinson Crusoe, at first, and I think I'll try to read it tomorrow, and once I am able to read it in a couple of days or even more, even in a week, I'll be able to move on to this interpretation of Robinson Crusoe, because it's just fascinating for me to read not only literature but what other people have thought about literature, whether good or bad. People have had varying opinions of almost everything. So, just because someone has had a bad opinion of something that we think is good, or if someone has a good opinion of something that we think is bad, is not enough of a reason to not indulge in it, because you cannot form an opinion and you cannot uh, be at least a bit more sure with evidence and proof of your judgment, whether it is good or bad, unless you know it a bit better than others, than average others, than others who have just heard about it or even maybe read it, but not like you, not with the understanding that you had. And that is something of a something of a problem most of the time, that people will take on the suggestions of others, and most of the time those suggestions are pretty accurate. If I say so, there will be a book that many people will be like, this book is trash, and it might be, but you should always have a taste of it if you have time, of course. If you don't, obviously you don't need to. If you want to, you can just keep on hopping to things that other people recommend. But there will be times when people will have recommendations of, or will have opinions of something that is probably good, but they dislike it for some reason. There will be some biases, there will be some problems in such statements. So in my opinion, it is always better to have a taste of such things, just like you need to have a taste of any food to know how it is, unless it is really really bad, like it is like to the level of grossness, or to the level of inedibility, to being inedible, I suppose. But I doubt things are like that. So everyone should be able to at least have a taste, so they can decide for themselves that if they can digest the whole of it. And that's about it. I am trying to read a couple of books more in my free time, but I am not able to. There's one on logical fallacies. There's one on how to how to better read a book in as much as I know about it. And there's another book on how to focus on things that actually matter for you. And there's just so many books running through my mind right now. Even books such as The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain, which is it is almost hilarious and funny to me. But I have never been I have never been more fascinated to such chaotic writers such as Mark Twain. And I forget I forget the name of the author, but yeah, James Joyce. I forgot his name. I am sometimes my memory is just too bad, just too bad. So yeah, basically, James, these writers fascinate me a lot because they don't write like contemporary writers or like standard writers like Charles Dickens or Shakespeare or Virginia Woolf and everyone far in between, whether it be Orwell, whether it be Harper Lee, whether it be even Stephen King. These authors have had a different impact on me. So yeah, that's just a bit of what I think. And I also think that it's time that I that I end the stream now. So take care of yourselves and drink water, eat your food on time, don't skip meals if you can, and stay learning, keep learning, because learning and effort, the action of trying, is what differentiates between a person that is alive and a person that is dead. So if you are alive, try to be alive mechanically, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and intellectually. It doesn't take much effort unless you have given up all hope, but I hope that you haven't. So yeah, once again, stay hydrated. It's almost the start of fall because it's September. It's still humid where we live, and I'm sweating like hell. So I'll just go now, and I hope you lot take care of yourselves. See ya.